The only thing that I have an issue with is the responsibility of the adults who put him in that position and then left him there by himself. Like that, those people are the people who anger me. The Dominic Black, who, I mean, he's 19, but he's still, of age.
Where are the police? Why are the police just abandoning the street to rioters too? Right. I mean, I agree with you. There's other adults like on the Rittenhouse side. There's a general failure of broader civil society. Like rioting is bad. Okay. Like it's not good to let people just burn stuff down. That is a policing decision as much as it is anything else. Like if you're talking about like, what could the police better spend the time on rather than, like spending all their time like harassing people for marijuana possession or whatever. Certainly one of the most valuable ways they could spend their time is put down the mob when they're burning down buildings of private citizens.
Well, this gets back, Will, to a point you were making. We were talking about just a moment ago about prosecution. You talk to police officers, and what you discover is, especially in communities like Kenosha, in the midst of all of this unrest, it really comes down to, do the cops feel backed up by the rest of the system? So what's the point of putting cuffs on somebody who is not going to actually be taken through the system by prosecutors, or prosecutors are going to simply dismiss the case? So you watch in city after city after city, as the cops go, either they're told explicitly not to engage with criminality, or they're saying, wait a second, why am I going to risk my life and limb to go into a situation where I'm not going to have the backing of the prosecutors or the mayor?
So guys, the only thing that I'll say to that is, in a lot of cases, when police show up under those tense circumstances, particularly when people are there to show their distaste for police, that's an escalation. And you don't want it to escalate anymore. So I think the police strategy is to build a perimeter and to hang back a little bit. Unfortunately, this can lead to, businesses being burned and things like that. But if you go in like they did in the past in Watts and other areas, then people die. And so what they're trying to do a lot of times, I think I'm defending the police here, and their strategy here is to hang back a little bit. But it seemed like police were in the area, engaged Rittenhouse and others, and didn't tell them, hey, whoa, going into that place with your rifle is not a good idea. You guys should not do that. They seem like, hey, thanks for what you're doing.
No, actually, one of the interesting things that happened and that was revealed in the trial for the first time to me is that before the shootings even happened, Rittenhouse was trying to get to one of the car sources that he had originally come from. And the police had set their line ahead of that. So they were like, and they didn't let him through to the place he was helping out. And so Rittenhouse ended up still kind of cabined in this like lawless zone where the police were not maintaining law and order. And that's when the killings happened. I think, I guess I'm a little more, I probably disagree with you. I think in general, police have been, not consistent enough in terms of putting down riots, using the non-lethal methods at their disposal, protecting property, protecting people's buildings, protecting cities. I remember when, maybe this is going back maybe to like 2014, 2015, but when after the Freddie Gray killing, the Baltimore police were like, we need to give them the Baltimore mayor was like, we need to give them their space to riot. It's like that theory
to destroy. That was space to destroy. Stephanie Rawlings Blake said that.
Right. And it's like that nonsense needs to go away, right? Like the police are a public service paid for by taxpayers and if they're not willing to provide basic protection against, a mob burning down your building, like that's a core function. And I think, also what you need is for that kind of thing, very severe prosecutions, right? Like, I think, one of the things that's incredibly dangerous is some of these like Extinction Rebellion protests in the middle of highways. You've seen some of those where they like unfurl a banner and stop traffic on a highway. Mm-hmm. That should be seriously prosecuted. What they're doing is incredibly unsafe. It's falsely imprisoning random normal people just trying to go about their day, go to work, go their jobs. It's holding them in place for like an hour or two while they make their protest. That should be seriously punished. Like it's not, because that's an unbelievably selfish and narcissistic way to protest, because it's exploiting other people who have nothing to do with what you're doing. And I think, this is where Florida, in my view, has it right. Like, no, we're going to punish that very seriously. So that sort of antisocial protest behavior is deterred, right? Like clearly this stuff doesn't happen in Florida because the punishments are severe enough to deter the unlawful behavior. I think, when you're talking about drugs, deterrence is a much shakier thing because drugs are obviously addictive. But when it comes to like the method of protest and whether people protest in selfish and destructive ways, you can clearly deter some of that with properly punishing behavior that is hurtful and disrespects the other people's autonomy.